Dave Kopel, also lead singer of Dave Kopel and the Second Amendments. So, Dave, thank you, sir, for coming on the program today.
As always, I'm delighted to do so.
All right, so Colorado's legislature not done with gun control. The Colorado House Health Insurance and Environment Committee passed House Bill 1306 yesterday, as I understand it, along party lines. This is a mental health bill that deals with firearms?
It's two things. One is to create a study committee over the summer, and then the second thing is to change some definitions in current mental health law. And we've been involved in advising some, responding to requests from some legislators on that. But I'd certainly say it's at least a more prudent approach than what was originally done, which was this very big bill just coming out of the box to make massive changes immediately. And I think it is better to, especially on something as complicated as this, for people to take the time and think about it carefully, because there's a lot of moving parts in this, and it's something you really want to, among other things, get the expertise of people in the mental health field.
Mm-hmm. I saw an NRA ILA alert on this that said, as drafted, this task force would have 30 appointed members, with only a couple of these members explicitly defending your Second Amendment rights. They say it's stacking the deck against responsible gun owners and sportsmen. And the representative who introduced this bill, an original version of this bill, had some really awful language, as I understand it.
Well, yeah, Representative Beth McCann, who is a former assistant district attorney, major person in the Denver DA's office, is certainly no friend of Second Amendment rights. And it is, as you say, a bill that is stacked very heavily on sort of the industry side of this rather than the civil liberties side. But at least thinking about it over the summer beats what was the rush to pass something pretty hastily.
Right. As it stands right now, Dave, with the gun control bills that have passed, obviously these bills go into effect later this summer, right? July 15th?
July 1st.
July 1st. Has there been any talk as we get closer to that deadline? In New York, Governor Cuomo had to come out and admit, this 7-round magazine limit, this is practically unworkable. We've all heard the concerns about the language of the magazine ban. Has there been any more discussion about how, practically speaking, this is going to work?
No, because everybody knows that it's unenforceable and impracticable. And the whole point of this was not actually something to improve public safety in a serious sense. It was to hand a political victory to Obama and Bloomberg so that they could use Colorado to promote their national agenda.
All right, talking with Dave Kopel, research director at the Independence Institute. And Dave, we've also seen a number of polls come out this week that rebut the 90% figure that the Obama administration was throwing around. 90% of Americans, they said, demanded these gun control bills and demanded expanded background checks. It turns out the truth is a little bit more complicated than what the Obama administration was saying.
Well, yes, and as I wrote in a online New York Times op-ed on last Friday, senators don't vote on poll questions. They vote on actual bills. And one could be in favor of background checks on gun sales and having more of them without supporting these horribly miswritten bills that were in the United States Senate. And a new poll from Pew Research just released this morning showed that you asked people, were you happy or sad about the defeat of the gun control bill in the Senate this week? And it was only about I think an 8% margin, something like that, of people who were more people sad about it than happy about it. So that's close to a roughly 50-50 split in American public opinion, rather than this overwhelming support for a theoretical concept that was not actually in the bills.
Interesting. And honestly, the number of Americans, I think, according to this poll, 15% of those responding said they were very angry that the vote happened the way it did. 20% said they were very happy that the vote occurred the way it did. And when you break down the demographics, it was really interesting to me Dave, you had, for instance, women. 19% of women, according to this poll, said they were very unhappy. They were angry at how the vote went down. 16% said they were very happy about how this vote went down. Now, we've been told that, women support gun control by huge margins. But to me, that tells me that when you get to the activist side, it actually, you don't have a huge number of women who are supporting gun control compared to a small number of women who support the Second Amendment.
Oh, that's right. But this is, this idea of broad support for gun control is really a kind of a Potemkin idea from back from the days when Catherine the Great, when one of her ministers of Russia created this like swell fake village for her to be taken through to show how great things were, although in fact the village was just a facade, and so it was a Potemkin village. And the claims of Bloomberg and Obama and all this about broad public support for gun control are their own little Potemkin village, lots of AstroTurf. And, the difference is the National Rifle Association is a grassroots organization, the oldest civil rights organization in the United States. Michael Bloomberg is a guy with a lot of money, but money can only buy you so much, and it can't buy you true grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
Obama, on the other hand, actually, he's a community organizer, did have his own grassroots. That's what got him reelected, despite his weak performance in actually being president in his first term. But it turned out that his grassroots organization, which was pretty good at his cult of personality and getting him reelected, and he then tried to turn into a issue advocacy organization, wasn't that effective at that. That his genius was getting low information voters to turn out by pestering him relentlessly to go and vote. And good for him. That's why he's the president today. But that's not the kind of grassroots base that's really very good at contacting legislators or making a serious claim that you're going to vote in the 2014 election.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly right. Exactly. And this is, if you signed up for Organizing for Action, you signed up because you supported President Obama, not necessarily because you were a huge gun control advocate. And this was supposed to be Organizing for Action's first big campaign. And I think what it showed was that, the people who supported the president support the president. They don't necessarily go along with his policies. And just because he says go and do these things, they're not. Like he doesn't. He doesn't command that same sort of. It's not 2008, Dave. It's not 2009.
Well, and even in 2012, he's the greatest guy about organizing something that says some guy who is apathetic and only votes occasionally. We're going to contact him literally 10 times to drag him out to the polls. But that guy is not exactly your, in terms of political effectiveness, equivalent to an NRA member who is self-motivated and takes action on his own in terms of political participation, testifying before legislators, writing to legislators, doing all these higher-level activities of responsible citizenship.
Yeah. Well, listen, Dave, we're almost out of time here, but I appreciate you coming on the program. And look, clearly this is not going to be an issue that the president and the gun control advocates are going to let go away. I think they're going to try to keep this a front burner issue right through the 2014 elections.
Well, it's important to them because, and for good reasons from their point of view, is you can see on a lot of fronts this whole Obama so-called progressive effort to bring all of civil society under the dominion of government. And gun ownership is something that is a very powerful symbol of people who take responsibility for themselves without being dependent on the government. And the NRA is one of the strongest civil society organizations in the world. And if the president can defeat the NRA, then it's a good signal to all the rest of civil society that you might as well just start negotiating your terms of surrender. And the fact that, at least so far, he hasn't beat the NRA is something that gives everyone else hope in trying to continue to have some autonomy and right to exist without being under the thumb of the Obama bureaucracy.
Absolutely. Dave, as always, sir, really appreciate you coming on the program, and look forward to talking to you again very soon. We'll see you in Houston. We're going to get to see it all.
I hope so.